shut my sound off because they put the air on. Oh,
Okay. Okay. I'd like to dedicate tonight's shir, Mozecha Nishmas, my mother-in-law, Aleh Shalom, from Rachel Bas Mordechai Aryeh. Thank you all for joining. Just about 7 weeks ago, we had a shir and we spoke about how in Mitzrayim, the night of the Seder that we were about to spend. So in Mitzrayim, they had a similar situation where they weren't allowed to leave their homes for that night. And so we were quarantined, and unfortunately, we're still here. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's a long time. Even in Mitzrayim, they only had to do it for one night. But we have many weeks upon us here. And it does come with its struggles. And now we have a unique struggle with Shavuos approaching. And it has its challenges. We don't have the luxury of just sitting back and having Torah be fed to us. It's going to take motivation if we want to make the most of our Shavuos. First, I'd like to discuss some ideas, perhaps. It takes some thought beforehand, some preparation beforehand to be able to prepare ourselves for Shavuos. It will take motivation. Some people may be trying to stay up all night, a little longer, a little more on Shavuos. It's something certainly we should be investing our energy into, learning some more over Shavuos. But it's difficult. It comes with a great challenge. It takes a lot of self-motivation. And practically, let's try to at least give some ideas. Most significantly, think about what you want to learn. Think about a topic, something which interests you, something which you always wanted to know about, that you could just spend time reading about. There are many, many good websites, but of course, you're going to need to check this out beforehand. I would advise, as soon as the shir is over, or if you're sticking around for Mincha Ma'ariv afterwards, but go online. There are many, many good websites, some ideas. There's Torah.org. There are many things you can print up. Divrei Torah, parsha, different topics, Shavuos, all different kinds of things. Megillas Rus, Divrei Torah on it. Some shorter, some lengthier. There's another very good website called Simple to Remember, maybe .com, but if you just, Google Simple to Remember, it's simple to remember. And of course, there's a lot of audio things as well, but there are many things that if you browse through topics, you'll be able to print up and be able to use, very user-friendly. Eish HaTorah has a very good website. And of course, if somebody's looking for something more advanced, please feel free to call me, to give different sources, different ideas. Be happy to discuss them with you. But the first step needs to come from each and every one of us. If we're going to just start on the night of Shavuos and say, okay, what are we going to learn? What am I going to learn? Whether you have someone else in your house to learn with or not. But if the question is going to start then, I can almost guarantee you that it's not going to be such a successful time. It will take you a lot of time. No, not this. I don't know, this. Oh, but now I don't really, how am I going to learn this? I don't have the resources. I don't have this forum. It's not in English. It's not, so we need to think in advance. We have some time now. So take the time to, print something up. There is a website called Sefaria, Sefaria, Safaria.com or something. You just type it in. There are apps for it also. These are more about the sources than shiurim, but you can pretty much print up just about anything from there. So there's the world is really at your fingertips. The world is at your fingertips. There are many Torah apps, and many of them have printing capabilities also. So you may have English Svarim in your home, but it takes preparation and forethought to decide. What do I want to know a little bit more about, and be realistic. So maybe you were able to stay up for an entire night in the past. Maybe it's not as realistic, but spend some extra time. Try and push a little bit harder, stay up a little bit later, a little bit more, at least during the daytime. There's plenty out there. It's only about motivation. And that has to come from each and every one of us. And that requires also an understanding of ourselves, what interests me, what makes me tick, what do I really want to hear about, what do I want to know about, what am I not ready to talk about and learn about. It takes honesty to understand what is going to be comfortable. I'll share with you when I was learning in the mirror. So I had a very, very difficult question at hand that I went to Nosson Finkel about, the late Rosh Yeshiva of Mir, the largest yeshiva in the world. And my dilemma was, I was starting to learn in the Mir, and there are different tracks. They have shiurim, and they generally go slower. And they also have a track called the blot, where you learn like a daf yomi, but you spend the whole day on it. Gemara, Rashi, Tosas, the whole day, and not just a 45-minute shir. You're spending the entire day on it, Yom V'Layla, day and night, tests and chaburas, people getting together, talking it over and learning. So it's a tremendous thing. So my dilemma was, I was about 23, just married. So it also happened to be they weren't going to give the yeshiva pushed that track of doing the blot, and they also weren't giving out paychecks unless you were doing that. But that wasn't really my calculation at hand. I was, I had an interest in doing the blot system and covering ground and doing it in depth to the best of my capabilities, but it also meant not going to shir anymore. So it was a very big question, I thought, in my life. You're not going to on a daily basis be hearing a shir. There will be some shiurim and discussion with other people, but so I went to Nosson Finkel and I asked him, and so he said to me, he says, the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says, "Ein adam loimed ela masha libo chafetz." A person only learns what he wants to learn, so you have to follow your heart. So I said, I love this place, the Mir. It's great. You can do whatever you want. You're not confined to learning something specific. You could choose. It's like a store over there. You could go to this year. You could go to that group. There are so many options. So I pass this Masorah, this tradition on to you for the night of Shavuos as well. You're only going to learn what you want to learn. That desire has to come from each and every one of you. Each and every one of us has to think, do I want to know something about halacha? Do I want to know something about hashkafa, about perspective, philosophy? There are all different kinds. Do I want to know parsha, Pirkei Avos? Is there a Gemara that I always wanted to know a little bit more about that topic? There are so many possibilities, so many Megillas Rus. There are so many things. There's really not enough time. I can tell you in yeshiva, so yeshiva Bachram, they come to the night of Shavuos and they think like they're going to finish shots, okay? Like, I have so much time over here, and really, like if you understand the yeshiva Seder, so it's like a morning Seder, it's like 4 hours, what is it really, And by the time you're done, with your snacks and your coffee, and sitting down and getting settled and breaks, how much time are we talking about? So 3-4 hours, and that's for a full night, it's not much more than that at best. So, even if a person gets an hour or two, so, don't think like, wait a second, there's so much I want to know, and be realistic, find a topic, go in depth, something you want to know about, something, just to give you an idea, we're not sure yet, but we're going to discuss it further. I spoke about learning with my boys about the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKan, sending away the mother bird, because we had one here the other day, but we actually missed it. It was gone by the end of Shabbos. But, we were trying, whatever. But it's an interesting mitzvah, so take a mitzvah and learn more about it. But it takes self-motivation, it takes preparation, it takes thought, it takes honesty, and it takes an understanding of oneself and what makes me tick and what resonates with me. So these are some important ideas. So it's very worthwhile to spend the time. Again, feel free to call me. Look online. There are so many things. Torah, again, Torah.org. Simple to remember. Eish HaTorah. Look at these websites. They have plenty available. Safari, if you're just looking to print up, from different sources of Hebrew, there's plenty. Okay. Now, we have our challenges, but we can make this to be a very meaningful Shavuos. Think about it. Think about this. Very important as we make the most of our Shavuos in practical terms. If one can gain much in a certain way, one may be able to gain much more if one goes through this process that we just described. Instead of coming and, I'm going to get fed a shear and a cup in hand and some snacks on the side and feed up on the lazy boy. Now, we all know when, you're automatically, when you're sitting in on a shear, you're in a passive mode. It's automatic. So you start to relax, your eyes start to drop. But when you are active and you're involved and you're doing it, so it's much easier to stay awake. Now, if a person has taken the time to prepare and to think, what do I really want? Let's make the most of this night. And one has taken advantage of that preparation, put it aside, and now is going to tackle it on that night and be involved oneself, even if one is alone. But think about that. One can really gain, in many ways, more possibly. Certainly that you'll feel more accomplished. You certainly will. And even if you didn't learn at the depth of what a shear might be, but that's your depth and that's your effort and that's who you are and that's your climbing, and that is much more significant. It's coming from you, and you'll absorb it. You'll absorb it much better as well. It's something not only for the night of Shavuos to think about, but for all year round, for our lives. We absorb better when we are invested into it ourselves. When we have a sense of responsibility, something I want to know about, not just to learn, just to pass the time, but something I want to know about. I want to walk away knowing something. This is something which is somewhat forgotten. We may learn, but we don't always learn because I want to know it, and I want to walk away and be able to repeat it. I want to be able to tell it over to other people. So this is a tremendous opportunity if we make the most of our Shavuos, if we think about this in advance and we prepare ourselves like anything in this world. The more you prepare, the more you get out of it. And this can be an extremely meaningful and beneficial Shavuos far beyond the average. Okay, now I'd like to share with you some thoughts about the Yontif. Kabbalas HaTorah. It's a time when we receive the Torah. It's a time when each year we are renewing our acceptance of the Torah, Kabbalas HaTorah. The Ramchal says that when we have a Yontif, so it's not a different Yontif than was. It's the same block of time with the same spiritual energy that we are passing through. And we are re-experiencing spiritually that exact same time period of Matan Torah. And just like at Matan Torah, many things were accomplished. And it was much more than just being taught a set of laws, which we'll try to get to and understand that experience but it infused something into us for all of time, and it changed the world forever. And every Shavuos, we have an opportunity to tap in to that spiritual energy. And the Shlach Kadosh says that the kind of night that we will have on Shavuos is like a Yom Hadin, a time of judgment that will determine what kind of year of success we will have in learning as well. So it's very important as the seeds are being planted. If there is a problem in the DNA of a seed, so, right now it just looks like a little hard rock, that seed. But if there's a blemish in that DNA, so, it comes forth over the years with inability to produce fruits or beautiful fruits or whatever the level is. So on the night of Shavuos, it's the seed is coming down from Shemayim and being planted. What kind of success we'll be able to have? I would say the most important perspective on Shavuos that we should have, especially if we want to make the most of our Shavuos, is Chashivas HaTorah, the importance of Torah itself, of understanding how valuable Torah is. Now, there are two parts to this. Number one, we need to understand the great value of Torah, otherwise we don't know what we're getting. What are we celebrating? What are we commemorating? What are we experiencing if we don't understand what it is? We need to understand how powerful it is, how magnificent it is. Now, that's level number one. Level number two is much more significant, much more profound. There's knowing that Torah is chashiv, is so important, and there's nothing more important in the world. But then there's another level, and that is knowing that it's important to me, my connection to Torah, my personal connection to Torah. And that takes a lot of understanding of oneself and a commitment and a motivation, and we'll try to elaborate upon that. Understanding the chashivas of Torah, understanding that this is something which is just unbelievable, so magnificent, so awesome, so powerful, it's so beautiful. It's something which has changed my life, which has made me who I am, my family, my children, my parents, my grandparents, everyone. It's unbelievable. It's something that we have to take great pride in. Unfortunately, throughout the years of Galus, we're beaten and persecuted, and that can make us feel like secondary, and it doesn't make us feel good about ourselves, about the Torah, when we don't see it up on a pedestal. But it's important for us to have that pride and that sense of value. Last week, we spoke about the degolim, the flags that were in the Midbar, the Jewish encampment, how every shevet had its own flag. And we spoke last week that at Har Sinai, Hashem opened up the Shemayim, and we saw the Malachim encamped in these groups, and they had flags. And we wanted it, and Hashem gave it to us. And when Hashem gave it to us, all the Goyim wanted it. And they made us an offer, the Medrash says. Come join us. Come be part of us, and we will give you anything you want, everything you want. You'll be high-ranking officers. You can be leaders. We'll give you whatever you want. What was so special about those flags, about that encampment? Last week we spoke about the individuality. It wasn't just one flag for the entire nation, but it was shvatim, it was individual personalities. We're not a cookie-cutter people. There are different personalities, all within the confines of halacha, but all reaching the same goal. The encampment was around the Aron. That means that the Torah is always our central focus. And we have different personalities and different talents and different things that make us resonate with Torah. But they all lead to the same path, with the Torah in the middle, with Hashem in the middle. We're all surrounding that. There's another thing. The Goyim saw the pride that we had. We were so proud. We have a flag. A flag means you're raising something high. This is what we stand for. We're proud of it. We want to show the world it's something that we believe in. It's something that we are proud of. This is something that we must appreciate. If we're to feel secondary, if we're not to raise that flag proudly, so we are not going to gain. It's not just a pride. It's also putting it up on the pedestal. Torah, Hashem, everything we believe in, Torah, mitzvos, putting it up on the pedestal, understanding its importance, understanding its value, understanding how unbelievable it is. When we understand that, we will gain from it. If we think, it's just another Devar Torah. I heard that before. If we think in those terms, we're not going to gain. We're not going to listen closely. We're not going to absorb it. We're not going to invest our time into it, our energy into it, our money into it. But when we put it up on the pedestal, when we have kavod HaTorah, then we will put our time and energy and resources into it, and we will gain tremendously. Kavod HaTorah is so important. It's so important when we stand up for the Sefer Torah. It's so important when we adorn the Sefer Torah and we put the silver ornaments on it. It's important because it gives us a sense of awe and of pride, and putting it up on the pedestal, giving Kavod HaTorah, giving honor where honor is due. When we stand up for Talmidei Chachamim, when we understand that their words are Torah, they are ambassadors of Hashem and our live connection to Torah. So this is something which, when we put the Talmid Chacham on the pedestal, then we will gain, we will listen to them. We will listen, we will invest. But if it's all, I heard that before, I'm sure there's another opinion. What a waste. Being cynical about Torah is the beginning of the end. It's a slippery slope. And if one doesn't have a value for Torah, it's all downhill from there. Cynicism is the worst. There is a term in Hebrew called leitzanus, which some people translate as laughter. It's not laughter. You can laugh, you can make jokes, you can be funny. It's great. It's important. It's important to laugh. It's wonderful. Smile and laugh, that's great. But leitzanus is a cynical joke where you take something that is important and you make it unimportant. That's a mockery. And that is an inappropriate joke. And that is destructive to other people and to ourselves. We will never gain if the Torah is not put up on the pedestal. So the olive bays of Shavuos, for making the most of our Shavuos, has to be understanding the awesome power of Torah, the beauty of Torah, everything about it, what it means to us, and what it means to our families. When we put it up on the pedestal, then we will afterwards check out, what should I invest my time in on the night of Shavuos? What should I learn? What do I want to learn? Let me print it up. Let me organize my sources. Let me make sure I'm prepared. When we're proud of it, we will invest. Let me share with you a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Perek Vav, relates a story. Amar Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma relates the following story. One time he says, I was traveling on the road and someone met up with me and he gave me shalom and I exchanged a shalom and aleichem shalom to him. I returned the greetings. And he said to me, Rebbe, from where do you come from? And Amarti lo, and I said to him, I come from a big city of Talmidei Chachamim and Sofrim, different types of Talmidei Chachamim. He said to me, Rebbe, would you like to live with us? That's the simple translation, but listen closely. Ritzoncha shetadur imanu, is it your will to dwell with us? Bimkomenu, in our place. We'll offer an alternative explanation in a moment. And I'll give you tens of thousands of dollars of, golden dinarim, he said. And I said to him, even if you will give me all of the gold and the silver in the world, I'm only going to live in a place of Torah. And so it says in Sefer Tehillim, which was said through David HaMelech, Tovli Torah aspicha mi'al bezov v'kesef. Better for me is your Torah, the Torah of your mouth, Hashem, than all of the gold and silver. The first question that we must ask here, why did he refuse this? They're looking for Torah. Isn't that what they're asking? They're looking for a Rav over here. What did he see wrong? He said, I'm only going to live in a place of Torah. So you go there and you make it a place of Torah. They're asking for a Rav. What's the problem? There are many explanations. I want to share with you just one tonight. He saw a faulty perspective. And even if someone is looking to hire a Rav for the city, a Rebbe. But if it's coming from the wrong place, there will never be success. And that will not be a Makom Torah, a place of Torah. The most unbelievable explanation I've ever heard, my favorite, on this Mishnah. What did they say? They said, Rebbe, will you live here bimkomenu? Simply, bimkomenu means in our place. Bimkom can mean something else. It can mean instead of, like when there's no Kohen, which we're unfortunately very used to in Scranton. So, so we say bimkom Kohen. We say bimkom Kohen. So, in place of the Kohen, instead of the Kohen. What they were saying is, Rebbe, can you come live with us and be our bimkom and live the Torah instead of us? Sometimes people want to hire someone to learn for them. You'll do it instead of me. They hire someone to go to Minyan. You'll do it instead of me. They hire someone to say some Tehillim. You'll do it instead of me. You'll be my bimkom. You'll be instead of me. So Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma said, there will never be success if you think that I can do it instead of you, if I can replace you. I can guide you. I can only show you the treasure beneath your feet. It has to come from you. That is the job of a Rav. He cannot be your bimkom. He cannot be your substitute. There is no substitute for you. No one has a substitute. And so he saw it was predicated upon a faulty foundation. And so he turned it down. And he said, not just, listen, he didn't just say, I will not come to you because I'm only going to live in a place of Torah. No. He said, even if you'll give me all the money in the world, he never offered him money, actually. So why is Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma bringing up the money? What's this about? And then he needs to prove it from a pasuk, from David Melech Yisrael. David Melech says, your Torah is better for me than all of the money in the world, all the gold and silver. He needs a pasuk to prove that this concept, what's happening here? So the Toldos Adam explains, we as human beings have a certain tendency, which is important for us to understand. We get very used to the situation, the environment, the circumstances that we are in. It's very easy for us to become comfortable, even if we're told that there's going to be change, and the change is inevitable, and the inevitable change is going to be better for us. It's hard. It's hard to go through change. Change is very difficult. People resist change. He gives an example, a baby in the mother's womb. It's kind of squishy in there, kind of dark, wet. But the baby doesn't want to come out. And when the baby comes out, the baby's crying. Get me back in there. What are you doing to me? What are you putting me into this world for? What do you mean? Look at all the space you have. We'll swaddle you. We'll take care of you. We'll feed you. What's the problem? You're in a better place right now. I want to go back. I want to go back. This place is better.
Sam?
And then we're told about an Olam Haba, another world. A world that we can't imagine. A world that is beyond our wildest dreams. A world where we're connected and basking in the Ziv HaShechina, the splendor of Hashem, something which is beyond our capability to understand. We daven for Arichas Yamim. Oh, I don't want to leave this world. Whoa. I don't want to leave. I want to stay right here. Not too long ago, you didn't want to leave your mother's womb. And you were crying to go back in. And now you're in this world. And I'm telling you, there's still another better world. You're happy over here. You see, it was a good change. You want to stay here. You keep davening for Arichas Yamim for long years. You don't want to leave. What do you mean Olam Haba is so much better? We could be told the next stage is better, and it might be better. We could argue whether this world is better than the womb or not. Certainly Olam Haba is better, no question about it. And we know it in our minds, but we don't want to leave this world. Now, of course, we don't want to leave this world on one level because it was the only place we could do mitzvahs. But that's not really the psychological motivator that is causing that fear. We're scared. There's a certain fear of death. There's a certain fear of what's going to happen. We don't know. We don't know. It's scary. Change is scary. Besides the Yom Hadin, the Day of Judgment, but change, even inevitable change, and even inevitable change, which we're told is for the better. But it's scary. So we can become very comfortable in what has become second nature to us, our habitat, our environment, our circumstances. We can adapt, and we don't want to leave it. We're going to have some people are bursting to get back to their old self. Some people are going to have a challenge in getting back to normal, getting used to certain ways of now. It's going to be a challenge for some people. Everyone has different, mechanisms inside of themselves. Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma said, listen, we live in a physical world, so we think that the money is better. But he says, I'm telling you, I'm not giving up any money for Torah, because Torah is much better. Even though we're living in the physical world and it seems like that's what's more enjoyable, but I wouldn't trade it for Torah, even though it's not something I can completely explain or verbalize, but it's something beyond me. Torah is bigger than me. Torah is coming from another world. And he says, you might not believe me. You might say, listen, Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, you're sitting and learning all day. You're in your base medrash. What do you know about money? If you would taste the good life, then maybe you'd think a little bit differently. So he says, David Melech Yisrael, he had everything at his fingertips. He had power, he had money, and he's telling us it's better than all the gold and silver in the world. And the word kesef, which means silver, can also, the Targum says, mean something that you desire, nichsaf o nafshi, as the pasuk says, something that you long for. And David Melech is saying there's nothing better than Torah. So first we must understand and appreciate the value of Torah, and understand that while we appreciate the luxuries of life, and it seems great, but there's something so much bigger. There's something more enjoyable, not just more enjoyable in the next world, more enjoyable in this world, something that will give us a more meaningful life, an elevated life, something which is, we understand we're connecting to something higher than us. It's something which is beyond words, an experience beyond words. Matan Torah. The word matan is a language of a matana, a gift. We must understand that it's a gift of Torah. Hashem gave us something. It gave us a gift, something which changed our lives, something which is better than all the gold and silver, something which is so magnificent. The whole world was created for it. Reb Chaim Volozhin says if there would be one moment without Torah study, so the world would cease to exist. And he made sure to always be learning, making sure people were learning, so that there should never be a moment without Torah study. The whole world is built on Torah. It's the essence of the world. Kihem chayenu. It's our Torah. It's our life. There's nothing more important. There's nothing more meaningful. This is something that we must absorb. At Matan Torah, it wasn't just a set of instructions, a set of mitzvos that was given to us. We were a changed people. The experience of Har Sinai was not a lecture. We died and we were brought back to life, because it was beyond the physical. It was beyond what the physical can possibly experience. And we were in a physical body and experiencing the infinite. It's impossible. It was miraculous. And we were miraculously brought back to life again and again and again. What was happening was we were being changed as a people. Our spiritual DNA was being changed for life. Shimon Schwab has a beautiful discussion about this. He says, we know, we say every day in davening, and when we get an aliyah, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamam, Hashem, you chose us, we're the chosen nation. Really? We're chosen? Let's think about this. We know the story. What happened at Har Sinai? Hashem went around to the other goyim, to the other nations of the world. You want the Torah? No. You want the Torah? No. You want the Torah? No. We were the only ones left that said yes. So what do you mean, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamam? What do you mean? We're the chosen nation. What does that mean? Also, what would it have been? Hashem would have given them the Torah. We wouldn't have gotten it. Wasn't the Torah created before the world was in existence? The whole world was created for the Torah. Bishvil HaTorah Shenikrareishis. The Torah is called one, the first, and Klal Yisrael is called the first. It was for Klal Yisrael. What does this mean? The Gemara says, the Medrash says that Hashem went around to the different nations. And listen to what was said to them. He went to the descendants of Esav, Bnei Esav. You want the Torah? Oh, what does it say in there? It says that you're not a lo sirtzach, you're not allowed to murder. Ooh, kol atzminu, that's our essence. I mean, achar b'chatichya, Esav, he lived by the sword. Oh, that's not for us. He goes to the descendants Bnei Ammon and Moab. What does it say in the Torah? It says lo sinah, you're not allowed to commit adultery. You know where we come from? We come from that incestuous relationship of Lot and his daughters. Oh, that's not for us. So they turned it down. He goes to Yishmael. You want the Torah? Well, what does it say in the Torah? Oh, it says lo signo, you're not allowed to steal. You know, our father Yishmael, I mean, that's what he did. You know, like that's our essence. Rav Shimon Schwab asks, what do you mean? These are all things they had to do anyways. These are Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. These are from the 7 Noahide laws. So what do you mean? They had to keep it anyways. Shimon Schwab says something interesting. He says, what would have been was not that they were going to get the Torah that we have. They would have gotten the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, the 7 Noahide laws, in the form of Torah. What does that mean? In the form of Torah. What it means is, it would have been infused into their spiritual DNA that they want to do that. They would have been programmed to want to do the mitzvos applicable to them, where there would be a deep connection between them and their creator to do these mitzvos, and that they so deeply yearn for it. This is what happened to us, but they turned it down. But this is what happened to us. When Hashem gave us the Torah, it wasn't just do this, don't do that. No. Hashem changed our spiritual DNA where it became, we want to do this. We're programmed to do this. This fits us. It resonates. This is the experience of Har Sinai, where our panemius, where our insides were changed to want to do the Torah. Now, I want to talk about something which I could really spend hours on, but I want to just touch the tip of the iceberg, a very, very important concept. It's not enough to understand the value of Torah. And it's not even yet enough to say, I want what Torah means to me. There's something else. If we want to accept the Torah, we need to be honest with ourselves. And we need to know who we are. Let me explain. We need, in simple terms, if we just keep the Torah when times are good, when things are easy, when things are comfortable. So, did we accept the Torah upon ourselves? Or is it times are good and this is great and I'm kind of just being taken for a ride? Was I really makabel the Torah? Did I really accept it upon myself? Minimally, if at all. A real acceptance is, I don't want to go to Minyan this morning. I'm tired. I'm kvetchy. I had a rough night. I'm not interested. But then a person thinks, you know what? But this is something which is big. That's something which I can't even fully understand. It's something from another world. It's something which is higher than me. I need to connect to it. Living with your struggle and overcoming it. But don't shun your struggle. It's healthy to have a struggle. We're human beings. Hashem knows we have that struggle. If you ignore the struggle, that's not healthy. Know you're a human being. You have Yetzer Hara, and that's called accepting the Torah. And this is why I have a hard time with it. Why don't I want to hear that Devar Torah right now? Why is that not interesting to me? Is it the Devar Torah? Is it the person saying it? Or is it me? Maybe I'm uncomfortable with it. Maybe it's because I don't want to obligate myself to do that. And it's hard to hear. So I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to fall asleep. Maybe that's the struggle. That takes great honesty. Now, if a person says, you know what, I'm going to listen and I'm going to try and do this. This is going to be very hard for me. This is a topic I'm not really ready to tackle so quickly. This is my personal struggle. But I'm going to listen to this halacha. I'm going to listen to this Devar Torah. I'm going to try to get there because this is something higher than me. I'm going to connect to it. This is very meaningful struggle. This is a very meaningful experience. When a person does this, then there's been a Kabbalah Satorah. To just say, Shema, Hashem, you're one, I accept you upon myself, and just move on. Was that a Kabbalah? Was that an acceptance of the Torah of Hashem? But if a person says, no, it's hard for me. This is rough. You know what I'm going through? You know what happened to me today? You know what's going on in my life? You want me to do that, Okay. You might be embarrassed and you might feel dirty from that. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel dirty from the struggle. It's natural, it's human, and everyone is in a different spot. But understand, okay, this is what's bothering me, but I know Torah is higher than me. I'm connecting to a higher power. I'm connecting to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I don't understand it all, but I'm doing something more meaningful and higher than myself. That, when a person does that, it elevates himself, raises him above. That's unbelievable. Something occurred to me. We said Nasa v'nishma at Har Sinai. We'll do it, Hashem. We don't even need to understand. We'll understand it later. We'll understand it later. You know what Hashem did? The most unbelievable thing. Here we are willing. Hashem totally spoiled the mood. Hashem took the mountain and Kafaleim Har Kagiyas, he overturned it like a barrel. He said, accept the Torah or Sham Tehei K'vuraschem, or there you're going to be buried. What a damper. Hashem, come on. I was just telling you I love you and I'll do whatever you want. I don't even need to understand. Now you're going to force me? What's going on? Perhaps it's this idea. Hashem is telling us, yeah, you said Nasa v'nishma, because life was good. Life is great. You're living with mun. You're living with a well of Miriam in the desert. I'm taking care of you. I did Nisim and Neflos in the Midbar. But how about when times are tough? How about when you're tempted to do otherwise? How about when there's pressure? How about now? That's a Kabbalah Satorah. Hashem says, I'm compelling you to do it. Meaning, at a time when there's friction, where there's a struggle, where there's a conflict, and now you accept the Torah, that's a Kabbalah Satorah. The Gemara says, when we said Nasa v'nishma, this was almost like an excuse that we were compelled at the time at Har Sinai to do it. But there was a personal acceptance during the time of Achashverosh, Hadar Kiblua, there was a new acceptance of the Torah. Can it be that the Torah is giving the significance of accepting the Torah to the generation of Haman, who failed and went to that party that they weren't supposed to and bowed down to an image that they weren't supposed to, and they're credited for accepting the Torah in a way that at Har Sinai we were not credited? Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? And it occurred to me it makes perfect sense. Because at Har Sinai everything was beautiful and everything was shown to us and given to us on a silver platter. That wasn't a full Kabbalah, that wasn't a full acceptance. You want to know when there's an acceptance of Torah? When you stumbled, when you fell, and you have a struggle, and you went to that party, and you weren't supposed to, and you didn't listen to Mordechai, and you didn't listen to Esther. You didn't listen to what you were supposed to do. You failed, and you fell. But now you get up, and you say, I want to accept the Torah. I want to be part of this higher thing. That's a Kabbalah Satorah. That's something that is meaningful. That is something that is personal. We could talk about this so much more, but it's such an important concept. Let us conclude. There are struggles all the time, and now we have a unique struggle with Shavuos being home alone, but it can be more meaningful. Address your struggle, know who you are, and understand, what do I want to hear? What don't I want to hear? Why don't I want to learn that topic? Why is that bothering me? Why am I having a hard time sitting down? Think about it and have that struggle. And don't just feel embarrassed about the struggle. And don't feel dirty about it. Have an honest conversation with yourself. Why am I having a hard time with this topic, with that topic, or sitting down at all, or davening, or whatever it may be? Why? What's bothering me? What's going on inside me? And if you can say, you know what, and talk to yourself in that way, and have a meaningful Shavuos and a meaningful day, whenever that is, and say, but I'm doing this because this is beyond what I can understand. I'm connecting to something higher than me. I'm connecting to Hashem. Wow. That's special. That's personal growth. That's climbing the ladder. That's a real climbing of the ladder. So we need to think about this. What do I want to learn on the night of Shavuos? What do I want to learn? What don't I want to learn? Why don't I want to learn that? Why do I want to learn this? And have that struggle and have that conversation and make it meaningful. And now invest your time into it and make preparations and go print up your resources, or ask, where can I find out more about this topic? And make it a meaningful time. Make it a time where you have seized the opportunity. Make it that moment that the Gemara says, Ein adam lomed ela masha libo chafetz. Learn what you want to learn, but know what you want to learn. Have that conversation with yourself and know what you really want to learn and what was going to interest you and what makes you tick. Let us make this an unbelievable Shavuos. We can get through this together, alone, together, as we are, with walls, without walls, however you want to call this. But we're really all together in different places. But we have to make it personal if we want to make the most of our Shavuos and of our lives. And this, as I've been talking about a lot, I feel that this entire experience relates so much to this concept about making Hashem, that relationship, more meaningful to me as an individual, and understanding that. And that is a tremendous personal growth. And we can gain tremendously from this Shavuos in a way that has never been on a Shavuos if we address it properly. If we have that motivation, we have that struggle, that conversation with ourselves, but we understand this is something unbelievable. So let us appreciate the value of Torah, put it on the pedestal, what it means to us, and understand how it connects us and our families. Understand that value, making it more meaningful for ourselves, for our families. And when we emerge from this crazy world, we will all emerge stronger. And we will be stronger together, as we have said. We can make this world a much better place. We can have a great experience, the silver lining from all of this. May we turn this silver lining, not just from a lining, may it be on the outside where we're all together once again, and may we experience it in its fullest sense with the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash. Meir of Yameinu. Amen. I wish you all a very good Yantif. Stay safe, healthy, only gesund, only bracha, and only simchas for all. And may we all have a very special Shavuos, and may we experience it again in the fullest sense.